Hey guys, it's Gary, and today I'm going to be talking about the iRacing simulation software, better known as iRacing. It is the premier race car simulator that almost anyone can play with a decent enough computer, but it does need a subscription. You can do a monthly, yearly, or even a 2-year subscription. Sadly, though, for the console players, this game simply does not exist and likely won't exist on consoles. With this driving simulator, you are expected but not required to have a driving wheel and pedal combo. However, while some people might use controllers, those controllers that they have will often lack the ability to make minute changes needed for more complex turns on some of the road course tracks. As well, unless you make changes to the settings and enable the features, the game does not have any driving assist like automatic braking, stability, or traction control. That means if you hit the throttle a little too hard in a car like the current NASCAR Generation 6 race car, you will likely end up spinning the car out instead of going straight. If you brake too late going into a turn on a road course, you may end up going off of the track. Or if you are like me and unable to understand the Scandinavian flick, driving on a dirt track may not be the easiest thing to control. The game does separate new drivers from the pros and the ranked series. Ranked series are accessible depending on your driving class. When you start, you are in the rookie class of any discipline that you want to race in. Oval, road, dirt oval, and dirt road. After you rank up from rookie, you are given a D-class license and have more access to some more races. Rank up from D to C, you get access to more, C to B, B to A, and finally from A to Pro. While ranking from rookie to D happens whenever you've raced in at least 4 races and you have got your safety rating to a threshold of 3.5. However, ranking from D to C or to one of the higher ones from the previous one will require you to race 4 races and reach a safety rating of 3.0, but unlike going from rookie to D, you have to maintain that SR until the end of the season. The season typically lasts for around 2 months or so, and after reaching the end of the season and maintaining that safety requirement, you are then advanced to the next class. However, if you are good enough and reach a safety rating of 4.0, you are automatically advanced to the next class. However, at any point, if your safety rating drops to under 1.0, you will be demoted to the next lowest class. However, if you are a rookie, you can have a safety rating of 0.00. However, you may be banned for being protested too many times for causing intentional wrecks. As well, if you're in a high enough class, you may run into famous real-life race car drivers that use the game to practice for upcoming races, or even retired drivers who want to still have some fun. Drivers in these groups include NASCAR legends Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt Jr., as well as active drivers such as Denny Hamlin, William Byron, and Darrell Bubba Wallace Jr. Now, speaking of safety rating, or SR, it can be gained or lost during a race. You gain incident points based on a few things, ranging from 0x to 4x. 0x is things like a light contact with a driver or a very light tap of the outside wall. 1x you get whenever 2 of your wheels just go off the racing surface, like hitting the grass on the inside of some of the tracks, like at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. 2x is for loss of control, you spin out, etc., or for a light to medium impact with another driver, and 4x is for hard impacts with another driver. In ranked races, you can accrue up to 17 points, but after you hit 17, you are then disqualified and removed from the race. Unranked races like the Pickup Cup or the Carburetor Cup do not have these cutoffs, so if your car is still drivable after incidents, you can continue to race with as many points as possible. Like most racing series in the game, you have sessions that you can join. There are numerous practice sessions that allow you to run on tracks and in the cars that you own, and you can turn as many laps as you want to get a feel for how your car will do on the track so that you're not out there causing incidents during a race. However, 30 minutes before a race is scheduled to start, a race session, you are able to join that by registering for the race as long as you are eligible for it. You go into a live practice session that lasts until the start time of the race session. And then you get a prompt that tells you, hey, you can join your race session. In that race session, you are broken down into smaller groups based off of skill level, or as it's commonly referred to as iRating. Once in those sessions, there is a 3-minute time practice session, followed by a 5-minute qualifying session where you can turn your 2 qualifying laps. And then after that, you start the race session. If you choose to not qualify, you will start at the back of the starting grid. But once that 5-minute qualifying session is over, you have 2 minutes to grid your car, which means to spawn in on the starting grid for the race. After those 2 minutes are over, most races have you do the pace lap, which is a rolling start. And once you either turn that 1 or 2 lap pace laps, the green flag flies, and then the race is active until the checkered flag flies. Now, one thing to notice, in rookie and D-class races, there are no caution flags. They don't wave the yellow flag. That means that for spins and wrecks, everybody doesn't slow down, do pit stops, bunch back up, and then restart the race a few laps later. That means that if you spin, the leaders keep going. However, once you hit C class, you start getting into races that allow for caution flags. One other thing to watch for is that you have some race series that have what are called a fixed setup. That means everyone has the same vehicle setup. The springs, tire pressure, weight distribution, etc. are the same. The only thing that can be changed is the steering ratio and wheel offset. As well, there are also open setups where a skilled driver can modify the car's setup to try and find speed or stability by changing one of many settings. You can change the ride height, which would affect the aerodynamics of the car, the spring ratio, which would make a particular corner of the car have a looser or stiffer spring. You can adjust the tire pressures to get particular tires up to temperature quicker. However, for more info on car setups, I would suggest to look for other videos that can explain this better than I can, or to Google for NASCAR car setups to see what's going on with those, as I don't know that much about car setups myself. Now, while that covers the basics of iRacing, some of the cars and tracks that you may want or need to use or run may not be available with the base cars and tracks that are part of the membership package. you might have to go out and purchase these. At times, you may have to purchase a newer version of a racetrack. An example of this would be the Daytona International Speedway. On the left side of the screen, you'll notice the Legacy Daytona version of the racetrack. This version of the track has a lot of bumps that are all over the track, but particularly down low in the corners, and that can make your car bounce around and lose control. Notice on the right side is the repaved and reskinned Daytona International Speedway, paved before the 2011 Daytona 500. Notice how the screen doesn't bounce because the bumps have been paved over with new asphalt. As well, some of the tracks also have multiple configurations. For example, the Charlotte Motor Speedway has their classic oval configuration, as well as the Roval configuration, which uses most of the oval, but also uses the inner road course as part of the racing surface. There is also a Legends Oval, which takes place on the front stretch and pit road. Also, some of the tracks also have an asphalt and a dirt configuration that you can choose to go between. So, if you're a fan of race cars and racing overall, and you want to know what it feels like to get behind the wheel of these fast cars and try to see what the legends like Dale Earnhardt Jr., Tony Stewart, etc., feel when they go into a turn, this game might be for you. Now, is it going to correlate to a real life race car? It can, if you're good enough. You know, the only thing that you don't have is that sense of speed. Like, you don't feel the wind coming in the window with the window net. You don't have, you don't have that feel of acceleration like when you really step down on your passenger car. If you hit the gas, it pushes you back in the seat. With the simulator, you don't have that. However, if you want to know what your car would do on the track, how it would feel if you turn the wheel a certain way or hit the gas at a certain time on a racetrack, this game would cover that and give you that sensation. Anyway, guys, I hope this has been entertaining for you and has shown you what iRacing is and gives you a feel for what the game is. Now, if you want to spend the money and get it, more power to you. Go out there and do it. However, if you're like, I don't know, I kind of like more arcadey racing games, that's perfectly fine. Then do something like F1 2020, NASCAR Heat 5, etc. Those games will be better, maybe better set for you, as they're not as complicated. They're not as realistic as iRacing, but as well, you may not run into some of the salty people who treat iRacing more seriously than life and death.
Hold the fucking wheel with your muscles in your arms and don't let the fucking wheel move.
Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for the day. Peace out and take care.